I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on how to pick your images when they are very similar. Hey, I'm Vanessa. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to be sharing a little bit about how I choose between similar images for what I'm going to submit and what I am going to keep on my computer and why I keep similars. When you get accepted as a contributor to a stock agency, they will most likely tell you not to upload too many similars. And that might leave you wondering, well, what exactly does that mean? What is too similar? So I'm going to do my best to clear this up a little bit for you, because if you are setting up a shoot and you have a model and a location and an outfit, you might walk away from that shoot with hundreds of images and it's the same model, same outfit, same location. So in essence, they're all similar. So is that what they mean? Do you only get to submit a couple? Or where exactly is that line? And I really want to encourage you to do these big shoots with models and do walk away with hundreds of images, because that's not what they mean. They don't mean you can't submit similar images from the same shoot with the same person in the outfit and stuff. I mean, obviously there's going to be a max to what they accept, but generally when they talk about don't submit similars, they don't mean images from the same shoot. Now, I personally don't have lots of examples to share because I don't shoot other people, so I usually just have photos of myself, and that really decreases how many images I have to submit in the first place, because it takes a little bit longer to do self-portraits than it would to be taking photos of somebody else. So I do have one shoot with my youngest daughter that I'm going to kind of use as an example and show you what got accepted and how similar they can actually be without being too similar. I really hope that this clears some things up for you. Let's get to some examples. Okay, so here's a shoot that I did with my daughter. And as you can see, she's wearing a very bright red jacket, a red bow. It doesn't really change image to image what she's wearing. We've just gone with this. She has a couple props, a teddy bear and a suitcase. Sometimes she has both, sometimes she has one, sometimes she doesn't have any at all. So that is one of the ways that I mixed it up in this shoot to add some variety so that they're not too similar. One other thing that I want to talk about is some of these are quite similar, but her facial expression and her pose has changed just slightly. So the mood of this image, which is a straight-on portrait where she's looking right at the camera, is very close to this next one, except that she's now looking down, and that has changed it enough to be accepted. So here's an example that I wanted to show you. She's facing away and looking towards a forest. It's essentially the same photograph, except in one, her hands are behind her back, and in the other, her hands are in the front. And that's enough to make it different enough for them to warrant having both images. If this image was just the same as this, except a little bit further away, but her hands were in the front, they probably wouldn't be both accepted, because essentially, if a book publisher wanted to use the image but just closer, they could just crop it closer. So that would be something that would be considered too similar. Having the exact same pose, the exact same expression, the exact same everything, but just the photographer takes a closer up shot and a further back shot. In that case, it's a simple issue of cropping. They're not going to offer both of those images because the publisher could crop it as they need to, and they usually do. So it's not necessary to upload both of those unless it's really extreme and it would decrease the quality too much for them to crop in. So if she was standing exactly the same but way into the forest and then way close, then those are different enough. But between these two, if it weren't for the hands, they probably wouldn't have been accepted both at the same time. They probably could have just gone with the further away one, and then if a publisher wanted, they would crop it closer. I also want to note it's kind of the same thing with editing. So I don't do this because it drives me crazy to waste my time, but I typically will not edit the same photo with two different looks. I see lots of people on Facebook and other places online saying, what do you like more, this warm tone or this cool tone? And it's the same image. Don't do that. Do not submit the same image with different edits. Just pick your one edit, and if a publisher wants to change the tone of the image, they have the rights to do some editing, and they will. So do not submit re-edits of the same image. That is too similar. Along the same lines, do not submit a black and white version and a color version. If a publisher wants an image in black and white, they can always use the color version and convert it into black and white. So typically when I'm submitting images, I always submit color. There's a few rare instances that I don't do that, and maybe it's because I created the images for something else, or there's, I don't know, some other reason. But mostly if I'm shooting specifically for book covers, I will shoot in color and submit color and not go black and white, because I know converting it to black and white is relatively simple, and usually the book cover designer will be able to do that if that's what they want to do with the image. But yes, as you can see in this shoot, they are all very similar images, and there's lots of similar poses and the locations and everything, but they're changed just enough through either pose, prop, or cropping to make it valuable to have a different image. They're close, but they're not exactly the same, and that is really what you're aiming for. You can submit lots and lots of images. As long as you have other stuff going on to add variety, they will most likely accept quite a few of them, especially if you have put lots of research into the genre and the shoot itself to show that this is really what you're going for and there's a strong theme. I've seen lots of photographers have big shoots accepted with lots of images. If you want to look around on different stock sites, you can usually go and click, recently uploaded, and click on the photographer's name and see all of their work and just browse around to get a sense of what is being accepted and the level of similar that is out there. Try to note what you don't see. Keep that in mind as well. So you're not going to see lots of images with different color edits on them that are the same image. That kind of thing is not going to be there, but you will find shoots like this where there is the same outfit and the same model and the same thing kind of going on, just slight variation between image to image. Here's an example of two images that were accepted, and they are extremely similar, yet they are not totally the same. These two close-ups of eyes are so close, and yet one is kind of looking to one direction and the other one's looking a little bit to the other direction. And even that is enough to warrant them accepting both of these images into the gallery. I wouldn't suggest doing this all the time with everything, but it just goes to show how close you can have images, and yet they are still both worth accepting. So if you feel like every single image has to be completely different and something brand new, imaginative, and fresh, that's not what they mean when they say don't submit similars. So I mentioned saving some of your outtakes on your computer and the similars that you don't submit on your computer. And the reason why I recommend that you do that is because I have been contacted on more than one occasion from my stock agency saying that a publisher is really interested in one of my images, but it's just not quite right, and do I have anything else? And often I do have other things there. So if they haven't accepted exactly what the publisher is looking for, like say for example, they did reject something where I was looking down rather than looking straight at the camera, and the publisher really wanted something just looking away, they can contact me and see if I have anything from that shoot. So it's worth keeping that stuff on your computer because they might request it. And I've had that happen more than once. So don't delete your stuff. I mean, go through and get rid of anything that's like out of focus or trash or whatever. But if you feel like you have lots of similars, like I often shoot on burst mode so that I can capture just the right one. So I might have 5 images that are like just not even a second apart, and I'll pick just one from those 5 to upload. And a publisher might be like, oh, I really like this, but I wish it was just, a little bit more hair flow or whatever. And then I can go back and look at those 5 images and be like, oh, this one is a little bit closer to what they want. So keep those extras if there's still good, strong images. So in summary, do save lots of similars. Don't submit all your similars. Do submit variety within the shoot. Don't submit multiple edits of the same image. And yeah, you should be good. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I will certainly get to them either directly or maybe make a whole new video about whatever your question is. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to stay up to date on all the videos I'm creating. And if you want to learn more about book cover photography, I'll have my playlist linked for you on the end screen.